Well, first, thanks for waiting for us to get through all the logistical and administrative parts of draft night. I know it's a part that not everybody on the outside of these walls gets to see. Obviously, we're thrilled about how this draft turned out for us as a team and an organization. I'd like to first thank the scouting staff. I'm privileged to work with a great group of scouts that work year-round to make days like this possible. They strategically and methodically work through a lot of information and boil it down so that we can execute on a night like this. I'm privileged to work with someone like Troy, who has had an enormous impact on our organization through nights like this, and his ability to evaluate not just players but Thunder players. Perry Jones, obviously, is an extremely talented individual and somebody that we feel very fortunate to be able to add to our team. I was fortunate enough to attend his first college practice in Waco, Texas, and I remember it sticking out to me the fact that he was a freshman that was out there early before anybody else. We feel really strongly about his work ethic in combination with a lot of the physical gifts that he has. In our research through the year, we asked his college coach, Scott Drew, to articulate a little bit about Perry if he had to sum him up with 3 words. And he said, great teammate, caring, and humble. And those are traits that we feel are really important to our program here. Additionally, we just feel like he blends with us as an organization on and off the floor. And we're really excited to welcome to the Thunder family. And I will toss it over to Troy. He'll talk a little bit more about him as a player.
To piggyback on what Sam said, we're really impressed with the young man as a person. First and foremost, he has a strong work ethic. And down there at Baylor, they've been able to kind of turn it and win a bunch of ball games since he's been there. It played into how we evaluated him, being a good teammate and being part of winning. They had a tremendous run this year, and he was a catalyst in that. But he has a very high skill level. He's very versatile. But we just want him to come and be Perry Jones, put his heart on the floor and bring his work ethic. Expectations are nothing but for him to come and blend in with our team and help continue to move the franchise forward.
With that, questions?
Troy, where do you think he fell so far? Because last year as a freshman, he's talked about as a lottery pick, and early in this draft, and all of a sudden he's available at 28.
Well, people probably had questions about medicals. Sam can speak more to that, but I would think that maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe people didn't do their homework as well, or I'm not sure, but I would think that the medical has something to do with it because he was projected to be picked higher, so Sam can speak more to that. He's been in close workings with our medical staff.
Well, I think a couple of reasons. One, every draft is so different, and sometimes it's kind of like a chessboard, so to speak. Once things start to happen, there's a real trickle-down effect. Certain teams are locked in on certain players, and certain teams have different needs, and the next thing you know, guys that you don't anticipate being there start to fall to you. Sometimes guys that you don't anticipate being there fall to you and you can't capitalize. And this time we felt like we could. In terms of the medical, we've done a lot of research. As I said before, part of our process is to accumulate and interpret and ultimately blend together all the information that we have. And we felt very comfortable making the selection at 28. And when you put all of the information together, we felt like this was something that made us a better basketball team than when we started out today.
What did you learn
medicals?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, again, as we looked at everything, the greatest predictor of future success, is present day, and he's had a heck of a couple years, and has been very consistent. His measurables at the combine are excellent. We're talking about an athlete that is 6'10" and a quarter in bare feet, and has about 4.5% body fat. He's kind of an interesting athlete in the sense that he's got quickness, he's lean, and he's got explosiveness, and all those things line up, as I said before, to blend well with the things that we look for in players. We're excited about him, and we've taken a lot of steps as we've gone through the process to decide if this was the right decision. We feel it was.
Well, what about the knee that was there? Can you tell us anything about that? That's
Yeah.
been speculated.
Yeah, no, we've looked at all the information that we've had available, and we wouldn't have selected him. Unless we felt comfortable with all the information.
Troy, you said that you wanted Perry just to be himself. I guess what exactly does that mean in your eyes, where he's most comfortable?
Well, being himself is the information we got, and what Sam stated, what Coach Drew said about him. We just want him to come be a good teammate, come work hard, and let the chips fall. He's a humble kid. Just want him to come in and blend with our group and continue to build upon the different guys that we have here. But no expectations other than to come and be himself, and that's being a humble kid that really works.
Did you guys expect him to be there? Have any idea that he would be there at 28?
We didn't enter this draft thinking that Perry Jones would be at 28 for us. We, again, I credit the scouting staff for preparing us, for these events. In the event that someone is there that you're not anticipating, and that's why we talk about all the time. It's a year-round process. It's a lot of work for one day, and I'm privileged to have had and have really good people that are committed to preparing us for basically a 5-minute selection every year. So you never know who's going to be there, but you have to be prepared for all the contingencies, and I feel like we were. Before the draft, we reviewed the different ways things could break, and we reviewed his file, and we were comfortable, and the way it went, that was the player on the board, and we executed.
You see him more as a 3 or 4 at this level?
You want to answer that?
We won't pigeonhole him. We think he can play anywhere on the front line. He's a versatile player. But the coaches will handle that. But we see his versatility as a strength, so we won't try to pigeonhole him at 3 or 4.
I think, just to follow up on what Troy's saying, we really see him as a player, like a blend player, a guy that we see great value in the fact that he's incredibly talented, but he's able to play within a team and understand how he can impact a game. He doesn't need to be forced into issue at all times. And with our particular team, we feel like that's a huge quality that we looked at as a positive for us. Ability to play within the framework of a game and be able to impact in several different ways.
At what point, you're saying that you didn't expect him to be there, but at what point did you start to say, hey, he might fall? Or was that at what point?
Geez, I don't know if there'd be a specific number, but as we were looking at the board, the way things shape up, you have certain indications of where other teams might be focusing their attention. So you feel like, okay, there's a pocket. He might be able to make it through this area, maybe able to make it through that area. And we have a pocket of players that we're looking at, throughout the night, and several different contingencies to remove ourselves from the draft if we feel like none of those players are there that we want. And we had those. I think we had a lot of different things that we could have done to, get out. But luckily for us, there was a player there that we valued.
Since you guys weren't anticipating Perry Jones being there at 28, I'm guessing he was not one of the players you guys had in for workouts, or was he?
He was at the pre-draft camp in Chicago. Troy and I were there for one full day of it. We were kind of in between. I think we had just finished the series. I can't even remember now. But we flew out early. We got a chance to see him for a full day. It was great that he was participating. But at the end of the day, a lot of the work that's done is done prior to the draft to the end of the draft process, the workouts and the combines and things of that nature. And we're just constantly evaluating the information that we put together over a 2-year period in this case to make the best decision that we can. So it doesn't come down to one week or even 1 month. It's a combination of a real methodical build-up.
Like you just mentioned, you got to see him his first day.
Yeah.
And then you've done all this work over the last couple of years. What has stuck out to you the most during those past 2 years?
I think humility. I think he's a very, very humble person with a very unique skill set. But I really feel like he's got a humility to him, and those are some of the qualities that we look for. And just the way he's gone about his business, I think has been impressive.
You expect he'll play for you in Orlando?
Yeah, we anticipate him, being with us as we head down there.
Sam, someone has to ask you about James Hart.
Sure.
Where does he fit into this, and where does the rumor start?
I couldn't tell you where that stuff starts because we don't pay a whole lot of attention to it. All I can say is it's that time of year, and James Harden is a coveted player, but I don't think anyone covets him, as much as we do. He's a player that, as we've said before, has really grown, with this organization, and we're really excited about having him.
Troy, back to Perry. There have been questions about his assertiveness. As you guys evaluated him, how did you sort of evaluate his assertiveness in games?
Well, he like everybody looks at his talent and says, "Oh, this guy should be dominant." But as Sam stated, he plays within the teamwork and tries to blend with the players and help his team win ball games. So some games, has 14 points. Some games is 20. Some games is 8. He just tries to blend in with the team and help the team win. Not that concerned about how assertive he is because he has a tremendous work ethic. He brings his hard hat every day. But he's just a guy that just tries to fit in and help the team win. I remember people saying that about, different players like Tayshaun Prince and stuff like that. But Tayshaun just tried to help his team win, and Perry is the same type of guy. He just tries to help his team win.
Have there been certain aspects of the game on the court that you've seen him improve in over the last 2 or 3 years?
Just his maturity and his physical strength has improved going back for his sophomore year. And stronger you get and more comfortable you are, you can expand your game, and he expands your game, and that's what he's done, Baylor, in the 2 years he's been there.
How does he rate defensively, Troy or Sam?
I think he rates pretty solid. He can defend. He's long. He can guard multiple positions. They played a lot of zone at Baylor, and he played all on that back line. He was pretty good in that. But I think that his versatility and his length would lend to him being a solid defender here.
I think it's also, when you look at our team and you look at, some of the traits of our team, he kind of fits into that. If you look at the group that we have, so it's another, long athlete that has versatility to his game on both ends of the floor. As we talked about before, during the playoffs, that was really important to us. Having that kind of versatility defensively. So hopefully, we'll be able to help him grow, help him get better. A big part of his development is going to be us putting him in positions to be successful and him putting in the work.
And that would be off the court as well, I assume, because we all know about upbringing and you have a culture, if you will, of good guys. And can you address that part?
Well, I mean, again, I think we've got a good group of guys here. I think he's only going to add to that. I think he adds to our group, makes us stronger because, as I said before, he's a humble competitor, and he's a guy that just is a genuine guy, genuine kid, and I think that only helps us on the court and off the court.
His numbers were down a little as a sophomore from his freshman. Did his game grow across the board, or was there anything that regressed in his game in his second year at Baylor?
His numbers were down, but they won more games. So I think he tried to blend more and help his teammates more and understand that coming back, taking more of a leadership role, he had to kind of spread his wings a little more and spread his game out. So I think that's probably why there was a little dip, but the team had a great run, and I think it was because he tried to make sure he incorporate his teammates more to so they could go further. Because his freshman year, I think they fell short. And this year they had a tremendous run in the Big 12 tournament and NCAA tournament. So his numbers may have dipped, but I thought he became a better all-around player.
I think, again, as Troy was saying earlier, the fact that he's been a part of winning and that he understands how to play within the framework of a game, given his skill set. To us, the ability to show some restraint and not, force the issue, to us, that's a major plus. We look at that as a guy that is about winning, first and foremost, and has impacted winning, as Troy said. And for us, we think it's a good fit with what we have going on here.
Would this be considered a pick that a needed pick or a best fit?
We get that question a lot. We always say, best fit for the Thunder. And, that could be best player at a given time. It could be a need. I think one thing that's really important to note is that the draft is important for this organization. We're a team that has, invested in the draft, used the draft, and development to help, build our core and improve our players. And, every one of them is different. Every draft is different. But we're always looking for the same things, which is the person that we feel like fits our organization, on and off the court, but also someone we feel like can push us forward and we can help improve as a player.
You said you're comfortable with the need, but do you expect him to need any work done on it, or do you expect him to just be okay and he'll be okay?
Well, I think before I say too much, what I'd like to do is just make sure that our group has a chance to see him and get a baseline where he is. But as I said before, he had an incredible, athletic testing performance at the pre-draft combine and has played 2 seasons at Baylor, consistently. But we need to let those guys get a baseline as to where he is and how we can continue to improve him as an athlete.
What's his shooting range? I know he looked, when I saw him, he looked comfortable on the perimeter.
Mm-hmm.
How far out can he go to shoot?
Right now, he can shoot college threes. He can shoot out to the college three with some form of consistency. When we get him in here, we'll see if he can do anything more. But right now, I'm comfortable that he can make college three range. It's comfortable for him right now.
When you talk about his versatility, can he provide some post presence offensively for you?
Again, I think we have to be careful. I think we have to get him in and kind of see where he is before we try to establish what it is he's going to give us. I think the most important thing is getting him in the program, getting him acclimated, getting him on a plan of sorts, and then through that process, he'll give us some areas that we really want to focus on to try to help him. But right now, it's we're just thrilled about the fact that we've been able to add him to the program, and now the work starts for both him and for us.
Whose name did you scratch off when Perry became available?
You mean who else was there? We're going to keep that one internal. But I appreciate the question, John. That was the easiest one of the night.
Eddie was the first one here, too.
Yeah.
Right?
A little off topic, but could you provide any more details on the ruling that the NBA made with the second round pick, and can you confirm if it's the one the Bobcats you got from the Bobcats and the Mullins did?
Sure. I have to decline from commenting on it specifically because the commissioner has made his statement, and it's I think that's stands on its own. But you're correct with that that it was that selection.
There's a theory that floats around every year that one reason why guys ought to come out after 1 year, because the longer you evaluate them, the more teams can just find something wrong with them, and their stock's never going to be higher than early. Any chance that happened some with Perry Jones, that people just started picking at him instead of seeing what they liked about him?
I don't know. I think, like I said before, someone asked another question. Every draft is so different, and if you go back and look at where people are drafted, it's not just because of the teams that wanted them at those positions. It's also because of the players that had gone before them and different ways people approach a draft. So I don't know that there's people have will over scout. I mean, that can happen, I suppose. But when it comes to draft night, it's really about where ultimately the teams feel like the best fits are for what it is they're looking at. I wouldn't say it's just like people over scout. I think that it just depends on the draft class. It's and that time and space what teams are looking for.
Did you guys see him as a top 10 pick last year?
And we thought he was very talented. Getting into what we feel like is a top 10 selection, and what another team might feel like is a top 10 selection could be totally different. But we felt strongly about him as a player, and at that point in time as well, a lot of the things that we're talking about here were the things that we liked about him, just as his approach, his work ethic, his high level, and his humility. Those are traits that we look for, and it puts him in a pocket of players that we would covet.
Do you feel like adding him to a group that has Kevin and Nick and Serge, all of whom are pretty versatile bigs, will also help him kind of find his niche as well?
Well, I think, again, the most important thing is letting him get acclimated to what we do, and having players like Serge and Nick and Kevin and company. Those guys are going to help his transition, and they should. And as I said before, our core guys, the guys that have been here a few years, they've set the standards internally that we work by on a day-to-day basis, and Perry's going to be held to those.
When would he get here?
We're working on that now. That was one of the reasons why we're a little bit late getting in here. But our hope is that he's in here in the next couple of days, and we'll be introduced to everybody here.
You said that you I forgot the word, whether surprised or whatever, that he fell that far to you. Where did you think he was? What range did you think he was likely going to go?
We had a pocket of guys that we just didn't feel like would make it down our way. I wouldn't say I would pigeonhole exactly where he was going to go. We just didn't anticipate him being there at our pick. And again, it's just the nature of the draft. It's the nature of the draft and how things fall each year. And at the end of the day, it's not about where the players are selected. It's about how they help a team improve, how they help a team win. And hopefully, for us, this is a person that can help push us forward.
The fact that you were there for his first college practice, is that a sign of how highly you regarded him at that point in time?
Well, it's a sign of a couple of things, probably. I mean, one, location, but no, I mean, early in the year, we go out to lots of college practices and try to see some of the players that are freshmen, to spend time and understand kind of where they are, get a baseline, so that as you see them develop through the season, you kind of understand where they started. And it's really, I think it's really helpful to see the freshmen early, because you kind of gives you a baseline point, and then you see them in March, and you more often than not see a different player, because all these guys are young, they have a lot coming at them, and they're trying to figure it out. And I remember the thing that struck me about him, as I said earlier, is I mean, he was working on his own early, and that was impressive for such a highly regarded recruit.
Sam, was there any DeJuan Blair effect in this pick at all?
I don't know. I mean, we really we're looking at the board and trying to figure out what the best decision is for us. And I think one of the important things with the draft is you try to stay flexible. You try to anticipate what might be coming towards you, so that you can execute with the information that you have. It wasn't really something more than us just looking at what was next, what was the next scenario, and that was the next scenario. And we decided, long before, if he was going to be there at that pick, that would be the person that we take.
When you
How long
talk
did
to
it take you to
Two more
move
questions,
the
guys.
trigger? You had that 5-minute window. Is that something you raised your hand?
Yeah, I mean, we do the best we can to strategize and stay in front of the draft, so that when when the pick before you goes, you know who you're going to select. You're always going to get phone calls, right within that 5-minute period, people that may want to trade for your pick or whatnot. But you want to try to have you don't want to be in a situation, if possible, where you're debating, what to do. You'd like to have that figured out, if possible. And we felt comfortable with that process, But as I said earlier, there's a lot of work by a lot of people that boils down to 5 minutes, and those 5 minutes hopefully will impact our team on the court in a positive way.
When you spoke with him, when you guys spoke with him tonight, who did most of the talking? How would you characterize that conversation and his sort of emotion?
Sure. Well, I'll keep the specifics of the conversation between myself and him, but I can tell you this. He's the first thing he did was thank us for the opportunity, and we're excited about having somebody like that, because he's our type of person in terms of his approach and his humility, and we're excited to work with him.